Good day, everyone. You're welcome back to the channel. This is Yuglo Fashion, and thank you so much for stopping by. So for this tutorial, I'll be sharing with you how to make a 720-degree peplum with Crinoline. So please stay tuned and enjoy the tutorial. It's well detailed and also beginner friendly. So I use this Ankara fabric for this tutorial. It's 1.5 yard. I have lining here as well, and I will be using this as my interface. It's paper stay, and also I have the Crinoline. And the first thing to do is to fold your fabric into two. So to know how to fold the fabric, in order not to be stressing yourself trying to adjust it, just the first thing you need to do is to measure it this way. So I wrote radius, that is to get the 720-degree peplum, how to come about it. First of all, you measure the total circumference of the half length, that's 30 inches. Then after measuring the total circumference, you had your zipper allowance of 2 inches. Then for the seam, I added 2 inches. The reason for these 2 inches is because I used quarter of an inch to stitch the edges of the peplum at the zipper side. So quarter of an inch plus quarter of an inch will give half inch. Then also use half inch to stitch the two circles, the two peplum together at the middle. So I've used 1 inch. The remaining 1 inch will be used after adding the crinoline. So now we have 34 inches in total. The standard measurement for 360-degree flay is 6.28, but you know it is 720-degree we are cutting, which means we are cutting 360-degree twice. Then I multiplied the standard measurement 6.28 by 2, so that gives 12.56. And the total circumference of the half length now, when you add all the allowances, is 34 inches divided by the 12.56. That will give 2.38. So the 2.38 now is the radius. Now to calculate the length, I first measure the blouse length. We are measuring on vertical. You measure from shoulder to blouse length, that's 25 inches. Shoulder to half length, that's 16 inches. Then you subtract the two from each other, that will give 9 inches. And I added seam allowance of 1.5 inch. The reason for this 1.5 inch will be explained as the tutorial goes on. Then when you add 9 plus 1.5 inches, you have 10.5 inches. So to now measure it on your fabric, you add the radius plus the length together. So in total that gives 12.88 inches. But I'll just use the 12.8 inches instead, and I proceed to mark. After folding the fabric into two, I just measure 12.8 inches and I cut it out. Then I fold again into 4 this way, and I measure the 12.8 inches all around. You can see the way I placed my tape. You placed it at this angle here, at the sharp angle. So when you fold now, you fold in square. That is, you have 4 foldings in total with the same measurement, and the measurement is 12.88. And after that, measure the radius. And to measure the radius, you place your tape. You know the radius now is 2.38, and you place your tape at this edge here also and mark the 2.38 rather. Then you mark that all around as well, just the way you see me do. So now you can see after marking, I still cross check whatever I have there. So the length is 10.5, and the radius here, you can just measure this and multiply it by 8. You know you are going to have 2 of this. Since it's 720, that is 360 multiplied by 2. So you can see I have 2 pieces already. The first one is 360 degree, the second one is 360 degree. So in total I have 2 circles. So this edge that I opened up here, I'll be connecting the two together at this point. So this will make it full. You know, it will be fuller than just normal 360-degree peplum. I'll connect the one side, then leave the other side open. That will be the zipper allowance. Next is to add the interface. So I've also proceed to cut the lining as well. So I cut the lining the same shape. That's how you should cut yours too. So I have another 2 pieces, so in total I have 4 pieces. Then I've added interface to both the lining and the main fabric. So next thing is to first stitch the edges of the lining together and also repeat the same thing on the fabric. So and I've proceeded to pin the two together on the machine, so you can see where I stitched, and I also stitched the lining as well. The next thing now is to fix or stitch the crinoline to the lining, because it will be better on the lining than adding it to the main fabric, so as to give it a good finishing. So it's only the lining that you stitch on, don't stitch it on the main fabric. And I proceed to add the crinoline to the lining. So I proceed to pin it to the edge. At first you pin it to the hem of the lining. After pinning, next is to stitch on it. So you stitch the two sides of the crinoline. So and I've proceeded to do that. You can see I stitch the upper side and the hem as well. So right now we'll stitch both the lining and the fabric together, and I first pin the lining and the fabric all around, then proceed to the machine to stitch both together. So after stitching, this is the outcome. And if you notice, you'll see extra allowance on the fabric. This is because the crinoline has reduced the circumference of the waistline and also the hem. So this excess that I have, this was why I added 1 inch extra allowance to the seam allowance. You know, I used 2 inches instead of 1 inch. So the extra 1 inch allowance is as a result of this particular side. So no cause for alarm. All you need to do is just to cut out the extra allowance. And when you are done cutting, the next is to stitch the crinoline side. So you are going to top stitch on the crinoline and you are going to flip it this way to the side of the lining and pin it down. So this will help the crinoline to relax well, and also it will give your peplum a good finished work. So, and this will help you when you are ironing as well. You won't be struggling with the crinoline and the fabric. So I proceed to pin all around and stitch on the pin part. So you are just stop stitching on this. So this is the outcome even before ironing. This is what it looks like. Next is to stitch the edge. Since you are done with the hem, you proceed to stitch the edge. You can see how relaxed the crinoline is on the lining side. To stitch the edge, just flip it over to the wrong side. Then you pin the edges together, that is the lining and the fabric, you pin together. Then you proceed to the machine to stitch on. So after stitching, this is what it looks like. Next is to just notch this particular edge. You cut it out so that the crinoline can relax well at the zipper side. And when you bring it out well, when you turn it to the right side, just proceed to the ironing table and iron this part out. So when you are done ironing, this is the outcome. This is what it will look like. Now you can confirm your measurements. You know I added 1.5 inch to the length, so I've used 1 inch for the hem because of the crinoline. Then the remaining ½ inch now will be used to connect this flare to any bodies that you want to make. So that's the extra ½ inch. You can also confirm the circumference of the waistline. We have 32 inches here already. So like I measured 16 inches, and if you multiply 16 by 2, you have 32 inches. So this is the total measurement for the circumference of the half length, you know, we added 2 inches for zipper allowance. So the reason why I confirmed all this is just to make it clearer, just so you know, before you stitch this to the upper bodies, you need to top stitch both the lining and the main fabric together, except if you want all your stitches to be inside. That is, you can stitch your fabric even without showing the stitch parts. So thank you very much for watching this video to the end. Please like and share the video, and if you haven't subscribed, please do so. Thanks for all the lovely comments I've been receiving. So see you in my next video and remain blessed. Bye for now.